I really hope you can see the setup I have here. We have a vampire blood Bath and Body Works candle, an owl, and a Pusheen October calendar because that's all the decorations I have right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in this video is something really exciting. I've never done this before. I'm doing a September wrap-up and an October TBR. I know it seems really stupid, but I'm super excited about it because I've never done this before. This is my first ever wrap up and my first ever TBR. So I am super excited to do this. Okay, so usually I would do it like separately, like do a wrap up in a separate video, but I did not read that many books. As you probably could have guessed from the 100 pages a day for a week video I put up recently. If you haven't seen that video yet, the link is down in the description. I highly recommend you watch it just to get a good idea of what the heck I was even doing this month. So without further ado, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of the books I read this month. I read 4 books, and I mostly read them all in the video I mentioned, the reading 100 pages per day video for a week. So the first book I read this month was the first book in the Match trilogy. I'm not sure what the trilogy is called. This is a book about a dystopian kind of world. They have like a society, and the officials decide literally everything, like who you love, where you work, and even when you die. This is about a girl named Cassia, and she is preparing to be in her first ever matched ball, if that's what it's called. It's a big ball where they go to when they turn like 17 or something. I hope I'm saying this right, but she's of age to be matched by the officials. Basically, you find out in the book that everything is really not as it seems, and she starts to realize that the society may not be a good thing, because in this book, she kind of thinks that it's a good thing that the officials choose your life. They choose everything. They even control what you wear. Like, they literally wear white t-shirts and that's it. And, well, they obviously wear pants, but they just wear white and, like, plain clothes. You can't choose your own clothes or anything like that. But basically, she's starting to realize that kind of maybe this isn't the life that she wants. She thought maybe she knew, but, you know, she starts to figure out some weird things that are going on. And this is a dystopian book, obviously, with a subplot of romance, and it was pretty interesting. I still need to read the second book. So overall, I'll give this book a 4 stars because I did enjoy it, and I am looking forward to figuring out what's going on in the cross sequel. I highly recommend this book if you enjoy dystopian worlds and a little bit of romance. I'm like holding these books the whole time. I don't have to do that. And the next book I read this month is One True Loves. I'll admit, I kind of read the first 80 pages kind of a while ago, but I picked this book back up and finished it. I enjoyed it. This is about, this is not a spoiler because it's literally in the back of the book, but basically it's about a girl named Emma, and you're kind of seeing her life from when she was 17 to when she's turning like maybe her late 20s, and basically she gets with a guy, she marries him, and life is going good for her, and suddenly when he travels, he gets in a plane crash and he dies. Or so she thinks. 2 years of her life goes by, she meets a new guy, she gets engaged, and then her first husband comes back. I mean, he wasn't really dead, he was lost, but he found his way back. So now she is trying to decide what she's gonna do. Is she gonna go back with the guy that she thought was dead, or is she gonna stay with her new fiance? This is actually a movie, and now that I'm finished with the book, I can watch the movie. I will say that, you know, it wasn't what I expected. This was my first Taylor Jenkins Reid's book, and I'm not sure if it was just the book itself or her writing or what, but there were parts of it that were kind of slow. I didn't mind it, but obviously I was able to put this book down for so long, so it didn't really like grab my attention as much as I would have liked it to. But, you know, it was still good, it was interesting, but there's other books I obviously enjoy more, so I gave this a 3 stars overall. It was still a good book overall. I do recommend it if you're interested, but yeah, 3 stars for this one. And the next book I read was Sunkissed by Casey West. I've always been a Casey West fan. I've always liked her books. The first book I ever read from her was The Fill-In Boyfriend, and I absolutely love that book. I don't have a physical copy of it, but I want one. This is about a girl named Avery and her family, along with her sister Lauren. They go to a camp, summer camp type thing, like a family summer camp for the whole summer, because her family thinks that they should stay away from technology or something like that, like just to give them a time to bond and stuff. And while she is there, she meets a guy that's in a band, And eventually they start helping each other out, like, because Avery, she doesn't really know what she wants in life. She kind of just went with the flow. She was always that kind of person, but when she gets to this place, she decides, you know what, I want to choose my own path. I want to do my own thing. I want to experience more. And then the guy that's in the band, he kind of needs help writing a song, so they kind of start to have an agreement, like, if he helps her write his song, he will help her experience more in life and stuff and kind of find herself. So that sounds really cheesy, but it's actually really cute, and I really enjoyed this book. It was super fast-paced, super fun to read. This is one of my favorite Casey West books, I think. I rated this a 4 stars overall. I really enjoyed it, and it was cute, fast. All the guys were funny. Her friends were funny. I just really enjoyed the book, and it was really, really fun. So 4 stars for this one. Woo! And the last book I read this month was Listen to Your Heart, another one by Casey West. This is actually a book that takes place in kind of the fall time because they talk about a fall festival, and that's kind of the whole point of the book. So I kind of really enjoyed that because I didn't know this going into it. I thought it was a summer book. This book is about a girl named Kate, and she gets enlisted to helping with the school's podcast. And for the longest time, the class didn't really know what they wanted to do with the podcast, so they were kind of all coming up with ideas. And the reason why she gets chosen to host the podcast is because she came up with the idea to give people advice on the podcast. So then she got enlisted to host the podcast because she had the idea. The podcast gets a call from an anonymous guy asking advice about his unnamed crush. Suddenly Kate finds out while doling out wisdom to others may be easy, following your own advice is tougher than it looks. So yeah, it's about that. And overall, you know, it wasn't bad or anything. I'll just say that definitely wasn't my favorite Casey West book. It's kind of slower than the other ones, especially compared to Sunkiss. This one was kind of slow. It wasn't bad. I did enjoy it still. I gave this a 3 stars overall. It's very fast-paced, very fun. It's more like a coming-of-age book with a subplot of romance, I would say. And I really did enjoy it, so I gave this a 3 stars. Okay. It's time. This is a very risky TBR for this month. So, obviously, I'm not going to read all of these, but I'm going to try my best. So all these books I really would like to try to read this month, but I'm probably not going to be able to. I'm going to go through and tell you guys about them. So let me set these down somewhere. So there are 10 books on my October TBR, and that is very, very risky for me because I obviously only read 4 last month. So I'm going to try my best, and we're going to see how many we can get through. A few of these are for some video ideas that I have, so those obviously will take more priority. So the first book I have here is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I feel like I'm so late to the game on this. I have not read this series yet. I've had this book for a while, but I've not read it. Pretty popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend, Sal Singh, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project, at first just to cast doubt on the original investigation. But soon, she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life may be in danger. So I'm really excited to read this. I think this would be a perfect month to read this, but I will say this is not on my #1 priority list, but I'm gonna try to get to it if I have time for sure. But I am really excited to read this, and let me know down below if you've read this trilogy. Let me know if you liked it. Let me just tell you guys something. I've never read a mystery or a thriller or a fantasy. Yeah, I've never read that. So this will be really interesting and super fun. Obviously, I'm new to this. I'm getting into the book world. I am really getting out of my comfort zone because I've only read romances for the longest time. This is the first book that I got on my TBR. Okay, the next book I have is The Silent Patient. I think this book was really popular like a year ago, maybe like last year. Everyone was reading it, everyone was raving about it. Apparently it's like really good. From what I've heard, this book is about a woman that shoots her husband 4 times in the face with no explanation at all, and she's been silent ever since. And there's a psychologist, a criminal psychotherapist, Theo Faber, is captivated by her story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. So basically, we figure out why she killed her husband and why she hasn't spoken about it for so long. Boots, no, you can't be in the video. And this is definitely a book that's high priority because I do want to make a video about it. I want to read 5 thrillers in 5 days or something like that. So just keep an eye out for that. And I'm really excited to read it. Okay, and the next book I have on my TBR is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I've heard a lot about this book and Frida McFadden herself. I've heard she is an amazing thriller author. I talked about this book and some others in my book shopping video because some of these I bought at Barnes & Noble in my video and I talked about them, but also go ahead and read the synopsis for you. This book is basically about a housemaid that cleans for the Winchesters and they have a beautiful home. It sounds like from the back the maid kind of finds Andrew like attractive, which is the husband of the main woman that lives there, Nina. And the maid decides to go and try on one of her pristine dresses and then she gets caught doing it, and then suddenly the housemaid's room only locks from the outside and things just kind of start unraveling, and I am really excited to read this. I've heard good things about this and I know there's a second book, but yeah, I am excited to read it. From behind closed doors she sees everything. That is so like creepy. Oh, so I'm excited to read it, and this is a perfect book for the month of October. And the next book I have is something that I might not be able to get to this month, but I really would like to try, but it'll be fine in November too. But I have Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I feel like I said it really Hazelwood. I've heard really good things about this, and I did read The Love Hypothesis a while back and I absolutely loved it, and I've heard this one was like even better, so I'm super excited to read it. This is basically about a girl named Elsie. She's a professor by day and then she has a second job where she kind of is a fake girlfriend for some clients and gets paid for it, and her favorite client has an older brother named Jack Smith, and he's like annoying and arrogant, and he is basically the complete opposite of her because she is a theoretical physicist and he is an experimental physicist, and I guess those two just don't get along. So basically what I'm getting at here, it's a bit of an enemies to lovers kind of trope, and this cover is just so cute and I love the colors of it. Her covers are always so good. And yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. I've heard this one was more science-y, but that doesn't really bother me. Okay, and the next book I have is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I've heard Riley Sager books are really, really good, and I've never read one before. Obviously, I've never read a thriller. So this is one of the books that I'm going to include in a video idea this month. This is basically about a widowed actress trying to escape streak of bad press, so she goes out to this house on the lake. So the people that live across the lake from her, the main girl Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other and the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage isn't as perfect as it appears. And then Catherine vanishes, and basically the mystery goes on from there. And I've heard really good things about this. Oh, even the guy that wrote The Silent Patient loves this too, so that's good. And this is another book that I'm not sure I'll be able to get to this month, but I'm gonna try. And this is called The 7-Year Slit by Ashley Poston. So this book is about a girl named Clementine West, and for the last 6 months, she's been really keeping her heart guarded and she doesn't want to let anyone in. And basically she moves into her late aunt's apartment and she finds a man standing in the kitchen, and she's like, crap, this guy's kind of attractive, right? But she realizes at this point he lives in the past. 7 years in the past. Clementine lives 7 years in the future, and her aunt always said the apartment was a pinch in time, a place where moments blended like watercolors, and she also said that love is never a matter of time but a matter of timing, and Clementine fears she may be 7 years too late. So this sounds so interesting. I'm really excited to read. I've heard so many good things about this book. And obviously this is a book I'll definitely be reading this month. It is The Hex by Erin Sterling. This was not at Barnes & Noble. I guess everybody loves this book, but basically this is just a cute little rom-com about a witch who puts a hex on her ex. She didn't expect him to move back into town for a while, but I guess he does. And at that point, his life kind of just starts falling apart. And she's like, oh, I didn't really mean to do that, because when she put a hex on him, she was drunk. So it was like kind of an accident. And the next book I have on my list is Verity by Colleen Hoover. And I have never ever read a Colleen Hoover book before. I have a few, but I've never read one. It says Lowen Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. When she arrives, ready to sort through Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started, what Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page and bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night her family was forever altered. Yeah, I've heard like good things about this book. I know Colleen Hoover's kind of hit or miss for people, but I am excited to give it a try and see. I did hear there was a bit of a plot twist in here, So I am really excited to read it nonetheless. And the next book I have on my TBR is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Basically, this book is about a girl that she reads a book and she hates it, and she is like, I'm giving this a 1-star review, and she writes like I guess she writes a review, and then she gets to an argument with the author, and then at that point weird things start happening to her, and she's like worried that the author is actually like stalking her or like plotting revenge of some sort. And I've heard this was like really, really good. All right, are you guys ready for the last one? I saved the best for last, or at least the most hyped up book on TikTok, on BookTube, everything. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I've had this book for a while, and I don't want to talk about it, but my cat chewed this. And you're wondering, oh, it's just the dust cover. No, it's the book itself, too. He went to town on this thing, so I'm pretty sad about that. But this book is just so raved about. Everyone loves it. And I've heard people say, like, people that reviewed this book, they've said if you're wanting to get into fantasy, to start with this. So I'm gonna try it out, and I'm gonna make a full-on video, reading vlog of this book. Obviously no spoilers, but the second book, Iron Flame, is coming out November 4th, I believe. So I won't have to wait too long if I really, really enjoy it. So basically, I'm sure you know what this book is about, but I'll give you a quick rundown. This is about a girl named Violet, and she's supposed to enter the scribe quadrant and living a quiet life among books and history. Now her mother is the commanding general, and she's like, no, you're gonna go be a dragon rider. And apparently being a dragon rider is really hard to do. Some people die, and Violet is said to be very weak and small and frail and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. So basically, that's what this book is about, and I've just heard really good things about this, and I'm pretty excited to read this. This will probably be the first book I read, so I'm just kind of nervous. I hope I like it, because I've never read a fantasy before, so it does make me a little nervous if I like fantasy or not, but I really hope I do. That is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching if you have stuck with me through the whole thing. And if you're interested in seeing the future videos I had mentioned, the rating thrillers for a week and the Fourth Wing reading vlog, then I would highly recommend you subscribe to keep up with me. I also made a Goodreads and an Instagram and a TikTok. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!